Germany. This is the largest U.S. Army training area outside the continental U.S., one of the only places that multinational soldiers train regularly together. They have come from all points in Germany, various bases from other countries in Europe. And we not only have veterans, as you can see, many active duty soldiers and their families, and many of them sporting the jerseys of their favorite teams, and all the folks who aren't in here actually tailgating outside. And we grabbed a great burger out there, and we have a lot more going on in the parade field behind us with the Warrior Challenge.
Yeah, indeed, we did see some Packers and some Bears, as I mentioned, some War Eagles, Crimson Tide, all grilling together as well. It has all come together in a very special way here on Veterans Day. It's interesting, the notion of Veterans Day and all that it conjures today has been almost a century in the making. On the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month of the year 1918, World War I drew to a close actually here in Europe, a day that then President Woodrow Wilson first called Armistice Day. It's a fitting nod to the peace that was brought by the sacrifices of so many for so many more. Today, then, almost a century later, that history that we remember as a nation bears very special significance.
And for 100 years, this Grafenwoehr has been a training center for soldiers, first from actually right here in Bavaria, and today it's home to tens of thousands of Americans. This is where the men and the women who deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan, they not only train for combat, they raise their families here, they attend schools and churches and live and work beside Germany, beside so many other nations, even as far-reaching as Africa. This is their community where they have welcomed us to help celebrate their commitment to all of us.
And you say, well, far-flung. It's far-flung certainly for us. As many of you know, the studios that we call home in Bristol, Connecticut, almost 4,000 miles, one ocean and a whole lot of nations and a whole lot of bratwurst away. I tell you what,
and it's good too.
What a week it's been.
Grafenwoehr is certainly more than just a training command. And for more on the history of Grafenwoehr,
yeah, exactly. For more on where we have a lit, let's take a closer look at Grafenwoehr. Grafenwoehr, Germany, home to the 7th U.S. Army Joint Multinational Training Command, otherwise known as the JMTC. It is the largest U.S. Army training command outside the continental United States. Located 3,907 miles from Bristol, Connecticut, the base consists of live fire ranges, simulation centers, classrooms, and facilities which provide realistic and relevant training to U.S. Army, NATO, and allied units.
Hey, what's the status? Truck's up, 700 meters.
The JMTC's Combined Arms Training Center instructs soldiers from more than 38 countries around the world. In 2009, the Joint Multinational Simulation Center opened a state-of-the-art 50,000 square foot facility for digital models, simulations, and virtual training. Grafenwoehr's history runs deep. At the end of World War II, the U.S. Army occupied the Grafenwoehr training area and repurposed it to train American soldiers and house equipment. During the first decades of the Cold War, hundreds of thousands of American soldiers spent time training at Grafenwoehr.
Keep back, let no warning message verified.
Grafenwoehr has seen its share of famous Americans. General George S. Patton was a key force in the Army acquiring the training area and actually claimed German General Erwin Rommel's desk as a spoil of war.
And the king of rock and roll, Elvis Presley, spent several rotations in Grafenwoehr between 1958 and 1960 while serving with the 3rd Armored Division. Between training, Elvis would sing at local clubs. Apparently, the young ladies used to crowd the gates here at Grafenwoehr just to catch a glimpse of Elvis Presley back in the day. And Grafenwoehr, home to now over 40,000 soldiers, families, and civilians in this community, home to the Army's largest shopping center in Europe as well. Pretty impressive considering its humble beginnings, as this was established for soldiers of the Bavarian Royal Army some 100 years ago. So happy anniversary, folks, as this culminates.
Yeah, indeed. We can, our folks we came here with can also attest to the wonderful chicken and biscuits. I can also attest to now the men thronging for a look at my co-anchor, Hannah Storm.
Oh, not so. You've taken your fair share of pictures, I must say. Hey, let's give a shout out to some of the folks in here today. How about the 172nd Separate Infantry Brigade, one of 3 active duty combat brigades here in the Army. Used to be part of the 1st Armored Division, the Big Red One, familiar to so many of you, that was on the beaches there in Normandy. Now they're training for an upcoming deployment to Afghanistan next summer. They are the largest unit here at what we affectionately call Grafenwoehr, the 172nd, some 4,000 strong.
Again, much more as our week-long Salute to Our Veterans continues on this very special edition of SportsCenter Live from Grafenwoehr, Germany. For now, we head back to the studios in Bristol.